back.
Go in the taxi.
Go in the taxi. Are we live? I think we're actually live
I'll
now.
join you later.
Yeah, we are live.
Oh, hi everyone.
I think we're live.
Oh,
Right, can anybody confirm? Are we live? Because my
I
laptop.
think
we are
it's
live.
safe to say we should just carry on because
Let's
last time we
carry
kept
on, yeah.
speaking about are we live and we
Such a
were.
bad
30
idea.
seconds.
Okay, right, we're live. Hello, everyone.
I know.
Oh, Flo, did you have something to say?
People are going to be so confused.
Sorry. Do you mind if I just bow? I know it's literally just started, but do you mind if I bow out for like 10 minutes and I'm going to come back?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Okay, reserve all the
We're
girly
definitely
questions for
live.
me later.
Yep, I can see it. We're live.
Okay, right. Let's get this started. So, hello, welcome to this live stream. This is a special event that we're doing for all the people going to university this September, and also all the people who are interested in applying to university in coming years. If you don't know who I am, my name is Simon. I'm a recent graduate at the University of Oxford, and I'm doing a PhD at Exeter Uni in climate physics. And joining me, we've got, working along the bar, we've got Jake Wright. You want to say hello?
Hello.
Jake?
Do I need to introduce myself?
Shall I do it? It makes me look more professional. And
Yeah.
like, it gives me something to do. So Jake is a recent graduate at the University of Cambridge, where he did computer science at Queen's College and is now working in the big, scary, wide world. Next to him, we've got Jamie. Do you want to say hello?
Hello.
Jamie.
Wait.
Oh, no! Damn it! So, we have two Jamies in this stream, and we still haven't. In the chat, can you describe? We've got to decide how we're going to distinguish between the two Jamies. So, any
I
ideas?
just said pronounced Jamie as Jamo.
You could call me Jamo.
Jamo, yeah. So we've got Jamie. Jamie Miles on the left-hand side is a recent graduate from the University of Oxford, where he did PP at Magdalen College. And actually, do you want to quickly describe what you're doing at the moment, Jamie?
Yeah, so I'm working at a technology startup in London. I joined it in January, and now I'm basically scaling the company, or helping to at least.
Scaling
Which
the
means
company.
making it bigger.
Right. Okay. and then the other Jamie, we also have. I apologise. I called you Jamie Ped in my video advert because that's your Twitter
fine.
handle.
Yeah, that's fine.
But Jamie Peacock is a current student at the University of Bath. He's just going into his final year of computer science, and so we actually have two CompSkis on the stream. So if you have any CompSki questions, this is the time, really. And then the person who just left, who we were talking about taxis for like 30 seconds, that was Florence, who is a recent graduate at the University of Birmingham. She did biochemistry, and she is a YouTuber who does a lot of science communication stuff. So we've got a lot of scientists here tonight. If you have any humanities questions, Jamie covers 3 of the letters in the humanities alphabet. So
Yes, I do.
hopefully you're going to be the person who fields all of those questions. Right. So
So it
let's
seems as though Ped and Mills.
I could be called Lewis. I'm used to that.
What?
There's a bit of a curveball. You can call me Lewis if you want. That'll be
See,
fine.
Ped, it does sound. I don't know. Like that has.
Sounds weird. Yeah.
It sounds like
I
okay.
didn't
Right.
think of that when I first started. But anyway.
So Ped and Miles. It just sounds like you're like public school students or something.
Oh,
Okay. So should
Or
we
it
pick,
sounds like we're in the military, one or the other.
yeah, Ped, Miles. Go get water from the well. Right. So let's pick a question. Has anyone seen any question that they'd like to kick off with? There was one I had in mind.
Drugs.
Drugs. Let's talk about drugs.
Yeah, so the drug scene at university. I think that's, and also alcohol is included within the drug scene at university. I reckon that this is a particular thing for freshers to just worry about. Like, especially international students, I found English culture, there tends to be quite a lot of socializing around drinking. And there's this pressure to be like, do I drink? How much do I drink? Do I need to drink to make friends? And then obviously those questions apply to other substances. And then what are those substances? So I don't know. I've introduced the topic. Does someone want to kick off?
I think the drinking culture, there was actually a very interesting article I read about this, in the UK is very different from in the rest of Europe, for one thing. There seems to be, amongst certain subcultures of students, this culture that you don't drink to enjoy the drink, you drink to get drunk, and then you do things like going to clubs whilst you are drunk. But the emphasis seems to be on the drinking. I think one of the key points to make is that is very much a subculture. It is not the generic culture of all students in the UK. Yes, there'll be people that do that, and it fits in a lot with lad culture, for example, but it's not something that everybody does. I know here at Exeter there was a campaign to start a no-drinking society for people that just wanted to socialise without drinking at all, and there have been a lot of campaigns by the Student Guild, like the General Student Authority, to clamp out binge drinking and drink culture, because that has been a bit of an issue here. I don't know what it's been like for you guys at your unis.
I think there's been a steer away at Bath since I've started being there. Freshers has been like kind of turned down a bit since like I remember when I went, it was a bit crazy, and then after year, they've got more normal stuff away from the drinking. So I think they are working on it. I don't think there's. Well, I've been away for a year, but I don't think there's active in your face. They're trying to do it behind the scenes subtly, I think. But it's a Bath.
Cambridge Freshers Week for me wasn't particularly crazy at all. There were a few organised events based around drinking, but there were still plenty of people who got involved with those who didn't drink at all. And most of the stuff in Freshers Week was the events happening during the day where alcohol just wasn't involved at all. And then after Freshers Week is over, obviously you can just like get involved with whatever you want, and it was never a problem for anybody after that. As far as I'm aware, I never knew of anybody being pressured into drinking or vice versa, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I remember being quite concerned about, because I'm a physicist and so I'm not a very sociable person. I was worried about being made to, drink in order to socialise, and I did do that as part of Freshers Week. I remember there were drinking games as part of our welcoming kind of our first couple of days, but the emphasis was never placed on like, you have to drink. It was just, if you want to, you can, and you might enjoy yourself. Maybe, try it if you haven't done it before, but you don't have to. In terms of other substances, I don't personally have any anecdotes that I can talk about in terms of really like knowing anybody who has done them or having done any myself. So I don't know if anyone else has any experiences or knows anyone who had any experiences.
I can at least tell you anecdotes of substances that I know have existed at university.
Water, rock, air.
So one in particular that I know there was a story recently about this nitrous oxide, so laughing gas. And taking that, like that's a slight edge case one, but like sometimes you can walk around Cali and see the little silver canisters, and there have been parties where that's been present. Another one I think is cocaine has been present, or ecstasy, whether or not that's to deal with the huge amounts of work that you have to get done and you just need energy, and then you crash at the end of it, and they'll say there are all these horrible side effects. But yeah, those are at least 3 things that I know have been present. No heroin. I don't know anyone who's done intravenous substance abuse.
I've never known of or seen anyone take anything except like alcohol and cigarettes. So unless I was just missing things at university, it wasn't a problem I ever saw.
Oh, I just thought of another one. Sorry, Ped, do you want to talk?
No, I was about to say I haven't seen anything at Bath particularly, but I know there was a statistic. The newspaper did a statistic this year about something to do with how many? It was something like 45% wanted it to be legal to smoke cannabis on campus or something like that. So apparently cannabis is popular, but I've never seen any of it.
So that links in perfectly with what I wanted to say. So this isn't UK universities, but when I went over to Stanford, I went to one of their parties. There was weed everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. It was crazy. California's a really funny state. And it was very casual. There was somewhat of like a, oh, whoa, they're smoking weed. And other people were just like, yeah, we're smoking weed. So that's something else to just be aware of.
I mean, again, it's not something that's mainstream. I think it's worth mentioning. These things do happen, and certainly cannabis is probably, of non-alcoholic substances, is probably the most common, I think it'd be fair to say. But it's certainly not something that is mainstream, and you will never be pressured into doing Class A drugs. That's something that we're concerned about.
Should we move on to a different topic?
Yep. Let's have a look.
Somebody just asked. I can quickly answer one about whether there was a good mix of girls and boys in computer science at Cambridge, or whether it was male-dominated. It was mostly men doing computer science. For my year, it was about 10% female. I assume that's going to improve each year and become more 50-50, but I don't have any current statistics for this year's applicants.
What was that like at Bath, Ped?
It was about the same. I think we had 90 in first year in the entire course, and we only had 9 girls. I think we're down to about 4 or 5 girls, but I think we're about 60. So yeah, I'd say 10%-ish. But it has grown year on year at Bath that I know of. Anyway, when I did second
physics is a little better. I've got to say, physics was about 6 to 1 for my course. I mean, in my theory major option in 4th year, there were 2 girls to 40 guys. So, you know,
Yeah.
pretty a sausage fest, I believe, is the term the kids are using. There has been a question repeatedly asked about free time at university and how you adapted to, basically how much free time you had when you started at uni. So again, I picked it. So do you guys want to maybe talk about how much free time you had and what you chose to do in that free time in your first year?
I didn't have much free time because I was spending all of my time doing work instead, particularly in first year. I got better each year at being more efficient with work and not just spending my whole life doing supervision work. But I found you could, and I have more perspective on this now that I've actually got a job where I'm not allowed to take free time. But while you're at university, you can choose to have free time whenever you want, but it's just at the expense of not doing work, which is going to like just sit and wait for you to continue. So you can make time to do other things. In my first year, I did a lot of ballroom and Latin dancing for the first half of the year. So I could make time for things like that. You can if you want to, but I generally found I was so unprepared for the workload. I was kind of usually a bit too stressed for the first 6 months or so and I felt guilty about taking any free time.
I mean, I got an interesting, I suppose I got an interesting perspective in the sense that I left Oxford to go to Exeter, and one's known as being a very intense experience, and Exeter's a Russell Group uni, but it's not the same intensity because the terms are longer. I have definitely noticed that there is much more free time that students have here than there ever was at Oxford, and I think partly that's me doing a postgraduate course, which I think generally has more free time associated with it because it's basically 9 till 5 rather than 24/7 that my undergraduate course basically was. But like, generally here, people are able to do much more in their free time, and certainly in first year, people here do a huge number of societies. Particularly, I mean, I'm quite involved in the music side of things, and a lot of the people who are first years involved in music do a whole range of activities, and it's never been an issue for people, I think, not having enough free time. But I think people accept the fact that you're going to uni, you're going to take your subject seriously, but you do still have a fair bit of time in which to do what you want.
What's it like in Bath?
I'm a weird case because I spent my first 2 years working I did a part-time job. I did 12 hours a week at a supermarket, so I didn't really have that much spare time. I mean, I'm kind of a person that like obsesses over coursework, so I chose not to have free time basically. I believe after doing a year in industry, I think my tactic is for final year is just turn it into a 9 to 5 job, like turn in at 9, leave at 5, and just do it because I'm used to it now. I believe that way. I've heard a lot of people have said that it's so much easier if you do that kind of system, if you've got the willpower. But I'm not going back to my second-hand job, so I should have, hopefully, free time. But
I
it's
recommend that as well as a strategy. I also made my final exams very much like a 9 to 5 or whatever it was, like an 8 till 6, because that's when the meal times were. An interesting caveat: Oxford and Cambridge don't let you get a part-time job.
Really?
Because of the workload. So
you would have no time for it anyway.
Sorry?
There was no way I would have had time for a part-time job, even if I'd wanted one.
It would have been absolutely crazy.
I couldn't have done it. I wouldn't have had anywhere near enough time. And I think even if I tried to turn my work into like a 9 to 5 kind of structure, I still don't think that would be enough time. I spent more time a lot of weeks doing work than that.
I mean, Ped, you said you worked a job in your first year. I mean, how did you? Because I imagine that's what a lot of people who are going to go to uni want to do. I mean, I guess how difficult was it to get a job, and how did you find doing it along with your degree?
I already had the job before I went, so I basically used to work in Nottingham, and then I dual stored, so that in term time I'd work in Bath, and then I'd go back to Nottingham in not term time. So it was easy to get because I already had it. But I don't think it was too hard to do. But I don't sleep much, so I get like in first year I was in like 4 to 5 hours sleep every night, and I was living the dream. So I don't know. It was I think I'm weird on that front. I'm willing to put a lot of time into things, but I don't think I'm very efficient with the time. Now I've been to a job, I think I'm a lot more efficient with it, so I should have more time available.
I think that's a pretty common thing, though. I think all students find that they get better at being a student the longer they are in university. You get more efficient with their time, and and all that. Can I just point out, the person who said that Jake and Ped are hot, is there no love for the other Jamie and me? That is, I am quite offended.
I think Simon, it goes without saying.
You know, you don't get to our level of success without our hordes of fan girls. There has been another question. There's another question which was asked quite a lot, which was about international students and how they make friends at UK universities. So Ped, what were your experiences of international students going to
it was quite a large percentage, I'd say about 30-ish%, and they just mingled straight in. They'd have like their own little like cliques, I'd guess. So like I know one of the Cypriot people, someone from Cyprus, is it Cypriot, isn't it?
Yeah.
They would have like their own little like group, and they'd normally go to lectures or whatever. I think they live together as well, so there's that as well. So they're like close together, but it's really easy just to go across in all your societies and job and courses and stuff. So there wasn't really a divide between English and or UK, I guess, and foreign students. There's quite a lot of Hong Kong. I never realised Hong Kong was like so popular, and then they speak like there's this guy called Alan.
Everybody likes Hong Kong.
There's this guy called Alan who comes from Hong Kong, and he's awesome. He's like my best friend there, and I'm just talking. Someone could take over.
I mean, I think I've noticed that there's like either people are really engaged as international students with like the rest of the student body, or they're quite insular. Like it tends to be one or the other in my personal experience. You know, people either cluster together in their national groups, which is fine, and often there's a large number of people from your country, so you can do it, or they really get involved with everything. I mean, was that the same for you, Jake and Jamie?
So international students. Oh wait, yeah, Jake, please.
You go first.
International students, for me, like my friend group, a Polish person, an Estonian person, an Indian person, a person from Singapore, two people from Hong Kong. Hong Kong is very big. It's like the population of London. USA, like international students, they just are other students. There's no real dividing line between the two, at least within my university experience.
Yeah, I never saw any xenophobia or anything like that.
I had the same experience. There was just no distinction between people from the UK and people not from the UK. Everyone just mixed and integrated.
I suppose this question has been asked by an international student. Other things to consider would be, okay, Blitz round is coming. Other things to consider with international students are you get storage, at least at Oxford, outside of term time, so you don't have to keep moving things from the UK to your home country. Sometimes they can give you additional accommodation for a discounted rate because, like, obviously you can't keep flying back. Those are two things just to flag. Should we do Blitz round?
Right, so for those of you, I was going to say for those of you who are new here, you're all new here because that's the first time it's happened. What we're going to do is every 10 minutes we're going to do a Blitz round because in previous live streams we've taken way too long to answer people's questions. So every 10 minutes we're literally just going to bam through questions from the comments and cut off their supply lines and ensure victory before they know what's hit them, just like a classic Blitzkrieg. So Jake, do you want to pick a question and answer it like as quickly as you can?
I don't have a question.
Pick one from the comments.
I've got one.
Somebody else go first.
You go first.
Danny asked, wondering whether or not it was worth buying Freshers event tickets in advance, and I would say if you want to go, then do it. Otherwise, if you and ah and don't buy them, then you just won't go because you'll be like, oh, it's too expensive or whatever. So if there's a chance you might want to go, buy them in advance, take the hit if you don't like it. Go.
Simon.
I want to add something on top of that for Cambridge. Don't do it for Cambridge. I don't recommend buying the ticket things for Cambridge.
Oh.
Your college will organise stuff for you to do with other people in your college.
Okay, so somebody has asked, do freshers from the same colleges in Oxbridge stick together or is there inter-college mingling? In my experience, for my Freshers Week, I basically spent the entire week in my college, and I didn't really venture outside to talk to other students that much at all, apart from one time when I did a raiding party by myself into Merton College because I knew somebody who was there, and I blagged my way as a Merton fresher. But generally, I think, to start with, people are quite insular in their colleges. That's something different that I've noticed here in Exeter, is that you're immediately in contact with people from across the whole university, because obviously there is no college structure. So you go to the societies you're interested in, you instantly meet people who are interested in singing or making good videos or, you know, whatever. So it's much broader here. In Oxbridge, at least for me, it was quite insular to begin with.
I'm going to pick, would you reapply to Oxbridge? Without a doubt, yes. For my course, at least, like there's no other place in the world to do it that is better than Oxford. They like made my course. They invented it. In terms of the social side of things, the friends I've made there are friends I'm still in touch with now, and I don't see them going away anytime soon, and they're all over the world. In terms of like the mental challenge that it was to deal with all the workload, it was really tough at some points. It was probably the toughest workload I've ever had to deal with. Am I happy with having those mental scars? I'm now in the working world, and it's an absolute breeze. So sort of, at the time, maybe less so.
Yeah, I'd echo that.
Yeah, definitely.
Jake, can I pick your question for you?
Yeah, sure.
Somebody has asked, hang on, Ebe has asked, Jake, is it possible to stay sober in Cambridge?
Yes. Yes, definitely. I think most people manage to stay sober. I give maybe a bad impression in my vlogs and just all the time. But yes.
Okay, so what I'll do then is I'll reset the Blitzkrieg timer, and in 10 minutes we'll do that again. So thank you for all those questions. There was an interesting one I just noticed, which I don't think we've ever been asked before actually, which is definitely applicable to all of us. How did YouTube add to your university experience? That's Nora Dooley who's asked that.
All my friends hated it. All my friends hated me vlogging. I absolutely hated it.
Yeah, that was kind of similar for me. There'd be so many times when I'd try and get a camera out and film a meal or something, and like, you know, people would look up and be like, "Oh,
not
God."
again, Jake.
Yeah. But it definitely added to my uni experience for sure. I mean, Ped, how did you? How is it? Because obviously you've done it the most. You've made more videos than the rest of us put together.
The way I did that was I'm not very good at it. I'm not very good at being around people and doing it, so I never really got other people in on making videos with me. The daily vlogs were fine around campus and stuff. Like, there's much weirder things than me walking around with a camera on campus. But yeah, the others, I think it's something to do. It picks up over revision as well because I'm not very good at revising, and so it's something to do. Not many people. A lot of people knew about it. I actually inspired like 5 people to do it. They did daily vlogs for about 20 days and then gave up because it was too much. But yeah.
I mean, I definitely found. I made it. Oh, sorry, Jake, you go first.
I found people are much more accepting of me, like vlogging in the streets here in London, because if you watch my videos in Cambridge, everyone I walk past with a camera out like this, they turn their head and they give me a funny look. But that, I guess people just ignore me when I'm doing it here. But in Cambridge, it was more embarrassing and harder to do it in public. And like I said, nobody liked it.
I mean, I definitely found that, because I turned it into something of a sort of social crusade personally, because the reason I started doing videos is because it was from an access perspective. It was trying to get people from less typical applicant backgrounds to apply, and that shaped quite a large part of the other things that I did at university. So I got involved with the access work, and you know, it definitely added that angle to what I did. But what I've also found now is that I'm now seriously considering, when I graduate with a PhD, going into either videography as a business, or possibly going into making movies. You know, it gave me a whole extra technical skill set, which I wasn't getting from my degree, and other things like, you know, learning how to manage social media and doing things like collaborations, and it teaches you an awful lot. It's like an extra curriculum on the side, if anything. It's like a YouTube curriculum in addition to your degree. And it didn't so much like change my uni experience so much as it augmented it. You know, it was a thing in addition to what I was doing at university.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Simon, so I'm not going to add anything to what he said, except for I can now watch back those videos, and I have done, and I'm just like, oh my god, I forgot that memory, or like, I didn't realize how young I looked, or how excited I was about reading that particular topic. It's a really fantastic diary to do. Even if no one watches them, I have the pleasure of watching them when I'm like 20 years older, assuming the internet hasn't uploaded.
I mean,
I'm really looking forward to watching mine again.
Because I was
I'm going to watch all of mine from the beginning when I finished editing the last one, and I'm looking forward to be able to relive all the memories for second and third year.
Because I mean, I found I was putting together a new like intro for my channel for all my videos today, so I was trawling through all of the videos I've ever made, like at Oxford, for a background slate, and just like looking through them, like, oh yeah, I remember that, and then it kind of it reaffirms how lucky you were to go through everything you did. So as Miles said, it's it's like a good resource. It's a personal library for you to look back on and for other people to use in the future. Because I don't know about you guys, I still get plenty of views on the vlogs that I did years and years ago. Obviously people still use it as a resource.
Yeah.
Does someone else want
Everyone's
to
complaining about my bad connection. I'm sorry if my camera is low quality. I've got slow internet and a bad camera tonight.
Okay, I think this is pretty relevant.
I've only just
What's the mental health support like at university? We touched on this topic when I was talking about would I reapply to Oxbridge. I'm curious to know what it's like at, say, Bath, because I know absolutely nothing about Bath. But I know about Cambridge and Oxford, having spoken to other people there.
At Bath, they've got. To be honest with you, I don't really know. I think there's things around. There's quite a lot of support with the chaplaincy, which is kind of like the chapel, the religious side of campus, where all the religious societies and stuff go. But there's things that aren't religious based. You can go there for support, and then there's things like a phone line you can ring at any time if you're feeling homesick or anything. So there's lots of different things. I just don't know how good any of them are, I'm afraid.
You've never had to use them. I mean, that's a positive.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know anyone who's used them. I don't think, in a way. So I generally don't know. I know there's a lot of different people you can go talk to if you need to. So I don't know.
I mean, I can certainly say that at Oxford, and I'm pretty sure Jamie would agree with me on this, that mental health problems were I thought quite surprisingly common. A lot of people had issues with things like depression and anxiety because of how intense the work was. But because of that, the support network was really good. I mean, you've got support network across the whole university. You've got a support network within your college. And they're very efficient net because it's an experienced defence network, if you like. They're used to dealing with students with the same problems year after year after year, so they get very good at doing it. Here at Exeter, it's as I've said before, it's not quite so intense. But the support network is still there. There's a mental health unit, and there was an outcry a few months ago over people saying that it wasn't funded enough. And I know that in the recent election for student officers that was quite a big campaign issue. But it is there. I haven't had to use it for the mental side myself, but when I've gone to the doctors for other reasons, like physical reasons, it's very clear just how much support there is available. It's certainly something that if I needed help, I would, it would be there.
To discuss another area of support, so there are all these formal support structures that the universities and your college put in place and also societies, but there's an informal layer of support as well from your friend groups and other people that you'll be interacting with that are sharing in your university experience. And that is because Oxford and Cambridge and other universities have intense courses, there's this pressure cooker effect. If you go up to someone and you just say I don't feel good right now, or oh, I feel kind of panicked right now, the support structure's there and that people will get what you mean, which is definitely not something to be overlooked.
Right. Ped, do you want to pick a question?
I saw one earlier ago, which was quite good. Did any of you guys go to a summer school?
Yeah.
Yes, I went to two.
Well, someone asked about summer schools, and what do you think of them? I went to one at Cambridge to do law, and now I do computer science at Bath, so it obviously went well.
It put you completely off law.
Yeah, it did. I went and realised how I used to like the idea of law, then I realised I liked law on the TV, and law in an actual law room is really, really Englishy and boring for me. So
I had the same thing with medicine. I spent too long watching Scrubs and kidded myself that I wanted to do medicine.
Yeah.
And then I looked into what it would entail, and I was like, no, definitely not.
Yeah, so it was definitely useful to decide if I was between two courses. It didn't help decide on the university, although... Long story. Okay.
I went to one at Oxford and one at Cambridge, and it helped me to choose Cambridge over Oxford, but I did computer science at both because I was already 100% sure that I wanted to do that. And apart from anything else, I absolutely loved them. They were just such great fun, so that's a good enough reason itself to go and do them.
Out of interest, what specifically did the summer school show you that made you choose Cambridge over Oxford?
I preferred Cambridge for computer science because the computer lab was bigger and they took more students, and it just, for computer science, it generally seemed better. And I slightly preferred the city in Cambridge from what I saw of it, but they were pretty similar otherwise. I wouldn't have been disappointed by Oxford.
I mean, Jay, Mills, we both went on the unique summer school, am I right in thinking, or the Sutton Trust, is it?
Yeah. That is also the one I went on. I did history when I did it because PPE wasn't a thing for the summer school, and I was at Keble College. It made me fall in love with the city. It made me realize that there are other people out there that really love their subject and are really passionate about learning, but are also cool and have other hobbies. And it also made me realize that I really like the tutorial system. Like being able to write something, dedicate yourself to it, and then talk to someone who knows way more than you do. I was just like, my rate of learning here is so incredibly fast. I want to go here. And also, the end of week party was so much fun. It was a masquerade ball, so we all like got kitted out in fancy costumes.
And it's definitely something that I recommend. If people are thinking of going to Unique, they absolutely should do it. Because if nothing else, it reassured me that I didn't have to be well, basically, because as part of Unique, you get to talk to students at the university, and I think Oxvlog and CamTweet and OxTweet have done this to a certain extent. It's basically reassured you that the people who go to Oxbridge are perfectly normal people. You know, they're not superheroes that speak 20 languages. They are just regular people like you are. If they can get in, that means that you can get in, and it was really reassuring to me personally.
People keep asking whether summer schools help your application or not, and I think it helped me, but not from the point of view of it looks good on my personal statement, but it taught me a lot of things about computer science, and it gave me like more inside perspective on the university I was applying to, and I met some of the people who would be teaching me and who would interview me. So I felt it helped me write my personal statement, and it helped me in interviews, but I'm not sure whether writing it down for the interviewers, whether they care or not.
I mean, I think the only thing to add to that maybe is just that, I mean, just as a rule of thumb, generally the admission staff don't care about anything other than academic like performance. So if in doubt, it probably doesn't mean anything. Is like a pretty good rule of thumb to follow.
I would say that it's a pretty accurate simulation though of how to apply to university, and in that way, you having done it at a lower level and then having to do it for your UCAS, it's helpful there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Right, should we do a blitzkrieg?
But yeah, we can do a blitz round.
Right, let's invade France.
I want to disappear and come back and try to improve my quality.
Okay, Jake's gonna
right at the blitz round. God.
Harry Kiri.
Okay, blitz round. How big is the jump from A levels to university by Emile? I think that is how I pronounce your name. Maybe.
Amélie, isn't it?
Amélie? Oh, maybe. I can't read. Nor see.
Amélie Elise.
Yes, that's the exact person. Okay, answer to your question. Pretty huge. Biggest jump I've ever had. This is, again, Oxford specific. I'm not sure how it compares to other universities, but like the jump from GCSEs to A-levels is nothing compared to the jump from A-levels to university in terms of how short the deadlines are and how much you're expected to know and sort of how much you're expected to do on your own without having a solid curriculum to just be fed to you that you then recite back. There's a lot more independent thinking.
Ped, do you want to pick the next one?
Before a test, what do you do? Do you cram or do you rest? And that's from Crystal. I'm a fond believer that tests are 90% confidence and the rest is knowledge. So if you go in stressed, you won't do very well. I only ever went into one exam thinking I wouldn't do very well, and that's one exam I haven't done very well in. Even if you go in and you know you're not going to be very good, don't tell yourself that, because otherwise you will do bad. So I always find I rest the day before because I don't want to stress out, and then you go in and you just do it, and then you get out. Because I find that like everything's been told to you. If you say you can't believe it, you don't know it even. It's in your head somewhere. You'll see the question and go, oh, actually, bang, 9 times out of 10. But that's obviously an easy thing for people to say if they generally do okay in exams compared to coursework.
And I did a video series on exam technique and preparation, so you know.
Linked in the description.
Link in the description that we haven't written yet. So one person's been asking quite a lot, which I'll answer, about subfusk. I'm pretty sure that subfusk isn't one size fits all. I think it's like small, medium, large kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm actually replying to her in the comments.
Ah, damn it. Well, yeah, I think it's a small, medium, large. So it's basically it's not like a size 8, size 10, size 12 kind of thing. Like you just pick the one that sounds about right, and you're gonna look like you're wearing a cape, and you can cycle down the street pretend you're Batman regardless of which one you pick. So, you know, Jake, you're back. Do you want to pick a question?
Yes, I'm just looking for one now. There are so many to choose from.
Yeah, it's great to see so many people here.
I saw somebody asked a long time ago, whether if you're not sure what subject to study, should you just do what your parents tell you to, or should you go for something that you're not sure about but you think it'll be really interesting? And I think personally you should go with what interests you and not what people tell you to do, because ultimately you won't enjoy it if it's not what you've chosen and what you're passionate about. And if you're at university and you don't enjoy the thing you're studying, then it's just really not going to work out for you long term.
Yeah, exactly.
Go with where your passions are and your interests lie, and do what will make you happy.
Also, life is just way too short to not do the things that make you happy. You know, if you're going to dedicate several years of your life to doing something that makes you miserable, there's no point. So just do, as long as you don't hurt anyone, generally, just do what makes you happy, and that applies to university as well.
Ooh, harm principle by Mill. You can do what you want as long as it doesn't harm someone else.
Oh.
First year politics.
Right. Does someone want to pick a...
Someone's threatening to riot if we don't answer their question. So.
Oh god, that sounds awful.
Wait, no, we cannot give in to blackmail.
We do not negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah, we will not negotiate with those who threaten to riot. What's the
sorry,
question?
Mate. Okay. It says, can you reset exams at uni, and if so, are you capped at a certain percentage or awarded the full percent? I believe you're capped at 40%, from what I remember.
I did this. I had to reset my first year because of, well, I talk about it in my Draw My Life, which I'm sure everyone here has watched, because, you know, I'm arrogant. But I had to reset all of my first year exams, and they didn't actually count towards my degree, but so it was basically a pass-fail thing anyway, but if they did, they would have been capped at 40%, I believe.
Mm.
So I couldn't, even though I got just a shade under a first, it was counted, I think, as 40% on all of my forms.
And I think actually at Bath you have to get 70% to get 40%.
Oh, so you have to get a first to pass.
I think you have to get. I think that's true. No one quote me on that, but
Okay.
I'm pretty certain.
Oh, I've got
At
a question.
Cambridge.
Afterwards. Yeah, don't worry.
In normal circumstances, you can't resit at Cambridge. Like if you just come out of your exams and you think, oh, I did really badly there, it's tough. But if you have like a more genuine reason why you couldn't take your exams, or some personal problem that meant you did significantly worse than you could have done, then there are things in place to help you there and let you resit. Although I'm only aware of people resitting the whole year and not the exams, but I imagine it can happen. But generally, I know some universities, you can sometimes just choose to reset exams if you think you can do better 2 months later, but that's not a thing at Cambridge.
I think you have to fail at Bath. You have to fail it before you can resit it.
Yeah. Someone has asked, which I think could be quite an interesting one, do you have any tips for staying organised whilst at uni? I mean, personally, I'd say keep a revision diary. Is like I talk about that in my How to Study Effectively video, but like keeping a diary and making sure that you revisit material is definitely the one thing that I'd recommend.
I have a video called Organisation, I think, where I talked about the weekly timetable that I'd print out and write everything on that I was doing that week and everything I had to do, and keep it in my pocket all the time. And then I could never forget anything, and I always knew where I had to be and what I had to get done, and I could prioritize things really quickly.
I would just recommend look at the lectures you have to go to, figure out what your rough structure is for the week, when are your deadlines, put that into, I like smartphones, put that into a calendar app. I like Sunrise because it links into all the other apps, like Google or iCalendar, and then you can use that as a reference. In terms of other organizations predominantly knowing what to do is the first step. So I like making mini prioritization lists at the beginning of each day, numbering a task like 1, 2, getting those done, then rethinking which are my priorities based on how much time I have left. Like those are the only 2 things I would say I have stuck with, have consistently helped me achieve like tons of work and felt as though I was in control.
Somebody
Even in working life.
So somebody's also asked, this is Tugche, do you have any recommendations for study food? Which I think is quite, because I have opinions. I have strong opinions about what you should eat while you're studying.
I don't think I have any opinions on this.
No.
Apart from salmon. It is well known. It is known that Jake really likes salmon. So sorry, Ped. That's a reference that goes back quite a long way.
Okay.
In terms of study food, I think I will hold up to the mighty edifice that is the sherbet lemon. I think the sherbet lemon is the optimal food because it's a slow release sugar. You can't imagine trying to rush a bag of sherbet lemons. You can't do it. Your teeth will be trashed.
It's slow release in that you can only consume it slowly. In terms of the breakdown chemically, it's fast release because it's
yes, it is a fast release.
processed sugar.
It's a high glycemic index food, but you can't eat it quickly. So you have to suck. You have to suck the amount of sugar that it gives.
Okay, I highly recommend nuts.
Yes, nuts are also very good.
Just like nuts is like the awesome snack food that when your belly starts grumbling and it's not lunchtime yet, grab some nuts. Or like some grapes or blueberries if you want to be healthy. Or, in my first year, flapjacks from Sainsbury's.
They're lovely. Sainsbury's flapjacks are great.
Flapjacks are actually interesting because they're an example of like slow release and fast release carbohydrates because the oats and stuff that go into them are slow release, whereas the sugar that you get is a fast release. So
Florence is here.
Hello!
Hello.
She got the vaccine!
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm just slightly having a nervous breakdown, but it's okay now.
Okay, if you have any questions about
dealing
having
with situations like that earlier.
So, I mentioned you at the start, but Flo. So, Flo is a recent biochemistry graduate from Birmingham. So, if you have any questions specific about biochemistry, now is the time to spam them in the chat. I think we'd finished. Unless you had any particular opinions about what you should be eating when you're studying.
I don't have. I just say eat normally. Don't go down to eat as normal as you possibly can do. My one recommendation would be don't buy basics nuts because they will put you off nuts for life and you'll never eat them ever again. Go. They generally the smell of nuts now makes me feel sick because of those Sainsbury's Basics nuts. I'll name and shame them. It's Sainsbury's Basics. Don't get them.
So Repol Productions has just said it hurts when they grab their nuts. So maybe don't eat them when you're studying.
I would agree with eating normally. I like to not try to change too many things about my routine when I'm coming up to exams, because I want to stick with what I'm used to, even if that's McDonald's every other day, which I probably wouldn't recommend.
Okay.
Question for Florence.
Buy some Graze boxes.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh, Graze boxes. Yes, they're like perfect for snacking. Question for Florence, which is an odd one to start you on, but nonetheless. Do you think you had to worry about drinking and it being spiked?
Oh, that is a good question. Yes, no, absolutely. But we had ways of getting around it. Like you always have your hand over your drink so that no one can put it in. And I was scared. It's a horrible thing to admit, but I was scared. But there are measures you can take to prevent it. It'd be better if people didn't spike drinks in the first place, but that's not the world we live in.
What are like your top 3 measures, just for new freshers who are going in who might not be aware of them?
Top 3 measures?
Yeah, you said measures that are preventing it. So one being putting your hand in the glass.
If you go to the toilet, give your drink to a friend, and then they can look after it. And what else would I do? And then also you can do that Australian thing of putting the coaster on top of the glass when you go away.
I know, isn't there also one like it says don't drink Coke because then you can't see a colour change?
See a colour, yeah. I've heard that.
Something along the lines.
It's also very bad for the environment, so it's another reason not to drink Coke.
But Coke is a really good thing to drink if you don't want to be drinking alcohol, because then there's no pressure because no one knows that you're not drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
For them it could be vodka and Coke, but for you it's just Diet Coke. So if that's something you're worried about, that's great.
Clear. Or like water could be vodka.
Or lemonade.
A whole glass of vodka, like that.
It is a point though that, especially if you're concerned about drinking, it is a smart idea to alternate soft drinks and alcoholic drinks. So having an alcoholic drink and a Coke is a very good way of making sure that you don't get absolutely gazeboed.
But just a little biochemistry thing. If you drink lots of mixes, it makes the alcohol absorb into your bloodstream faster than if you had like shots, for example. So if you have lots and lots and lots of shots, you won't get very drunk. But then you have a Diet Coke, and it will all hit your system at once.
Why didn't I get told this 3 years ago?
You learn something every day.
I can also.
Wrong.
I'm writing that down.
Whilst on the subject of shots, I would highly dissuade anybody from attempting to do more than about 2 or 3 at a time. If you're new to the world of shots, I learnt this the hard way because I did 10 shots of Sambuca in a row. And
10.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't remember much of the rest of that night, but I woke up. Apparently, I went to a club because there was a stamp on my hand. And I'd managed to like scrape the skin off of my knees, and it was all a bit of a strange experience. It's also horrible because then you go into the common room the next day and everyone looks at you and laughs, and you don't know why. So avoid doing that.
This is why Facebook photos were invented.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
Oh, and if you go to St. Peter's College in Oxford and Simon says have a cross keys, don't play. Yeah.
Yes.
And then don't go play ice skating afterwards for your ice hockey tournament.
The cross keys was our college drink, and it was 6 shots, topped up with lemonade for a $5. And it tasted amazing. It was like Goldschlager, apple sours, vodka, and something else I can't remember. But it was really nice. But it got you absolutely, really quite hammered.
In Birmingham, we had a club called Subway City that when you paid entry, you got 10 free drinks that went with it. Which really got you hammered, and it was only like a tenner, so obviously everyone did it.
Right, that is a blitzkrieg round. Let's invade Poland this time. So what we're doing, Flo, is we are picking a question each, like in rapid succession. So do you want to maybe pick a question from the comments and just answer it as quickly as you can?
Wait, where are the comments?
Oh, if you go to the live stream page, they're like on the side. The YouTube design for live streams is a bit crap, frankly.
Okay, then someone else pick one while I try and navigate to the page.
Exactly.
Okay, someone asked how much money do you spend per week? Sophia Martinet. In Oxford, I found that I was spending about £10 a day, like on average, and that wasn't including accommodation or anything like that. But that was my rule of thumb for how much I should be spending on food and other things like that, and that was sustainable.
Did you ever have to do an all-nighter revising or catching up on work? Yes.
Yeah.
I once had to finish writing an essay for a 10 a.m. deadline, and I hadn't finished the reading, so I spent the entire night writing the essay. And then I got to see the sunrise come through the windows in the library, and it's one of the weirdest experiences ever, because you kind of hate the sunrise. Like, it's something that you find really beautiful. But yeah, it's not something that I wanted to do very often.
Jamie, everything the light touches is yours. But not that dark, shadowy place. That's the exam schools. You don't go there.
Okay, I'll answer a question about recording lectures to keep notes. You need to get permission before you do that, because if you want to do it properly, I mean, you could maybe just put your phone there and nobody would ever know, but you're not allowed by default to video a lecture or record the audio of a lecture. You need to ask for permission, and unfortunately, a lot of the time, the lecturers will say no at Cambridge. They'll not let you do that every single day, but occasionally they do. But just ask first.
Flo, do you want to pick one if you've got the stream up?
Give me 1 second. Sorry, do another one.
I've got one. Someone's asked, can you get away with only taking notes on a computer if you're doing an essay-based question? That's from Caitlin. I'd say essay-based subject. I'd say yes. 90% of the time, typing's probably faster, especially for us younger people. But if you're ever doing maths equations, just do it on paper, because you'll never get them done in time.
Although you say that, there was a guy in my lectures who sat in front of me who would write up his lecture notes in LaTeX in real time.
Whoa. Yeah, there was somebody who sat in front of me doing the same thing, and I was impressed every day when I saw him.
He'd do graphs and shit. He would do like scatter plots and stuff like that. It was incredible how quickly he did it.
Yeah, it would take me like 24 hours to do one lecture's content in LaTeX, probably even more. So yeah, I would recommend, unless you're some crazy LaTeX genius, write your lecture notes by hand if there's maths in it.
Mills, do you want to pick one?
I've got a question.
Go for it.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to go with how much does university help with finding a job? So I've actually graduated now.
Congratulations!
Thanks. But most of my friends, including myself, have not got jobs in areas in which they studied. And that's totally fine, actually, I found. Some people have, and some people haven't. And for many jobs, it sort of helped just as an entry requirement. So the job description would be like, you have to have a 2-1 to apply, but they literally didn't care if it was in philosophy or chemistry or whatever. So it helps in a way, but it depends what you want to do.
It proves that you have skills necessarily rather than knowledge. Like
Exactly.
It proves that you can time manage and you can problem solve and do all those things that employers are looking for. But you could do those things before you went to university, but now you've got a piece of paper with a fancy seal on it that says you can do it.
I think
I've
this
actually
depends
been
on
a
the
hiring.
field you're going into.
Sorry.
Like I need for my job as a software developer, I needed a computer science degree. So it depends what you're doing.
As a PhD, I definitely needed my degree to do what I did, because if you handed me the stuff that I do on day one, like after sixth form, I would have just like vomited and sort of passed out probably.
Having been on the other side of the table, because I was a hiring manager for our last recruitment drive, I was just looking for someone who was a really quick learner and was incredibly keen. And you can sort of infer that from someone's CV based on which university they've gone to and what they've studied, and also what extracurricular.
Oh, we've lost Jamie. Can I actually, at this juncture, he just mentioned recruiting. I just really like to plug the Oxford project is recruiting for next year's project. So, Jake, don't laugh. So the Oxford project is a collaborative blogging project where people from across the university make videos showing what Oxford life is like as a student. If you are going to Oxford as a fresher this year, please apply. There's a video on the Oxblog channel, which is youtube.com/Oxblog, that tells you everything you need to know. It's an amazing project to get involved in. Both Jamie and I did it, and it'd be really great if you could sort of carry it on to next year, because people who have been applying to university and I've met at Oxford now watched Oxblog videos and say that it helped them to get in, and that's like awesome to know that you've had an effect. So if you can, apply for the Oxblog project. Sorry, Jamie, we got you back.
Am I alive now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
R.I.P. Jamie is in the.
Oh, Sally's in the comments. I just noticed.
Sally, hello.
Jamie, I cried
this
every
way so
time.
everyone can see the Cambridge logo.
What was that?
I've been holding my mug backwards, even though I'm specifically using my Cambridge one.
I haven't got anything that's Exeter. Oh no, I've got my chapel hoodie here. Shall I just cover my... Hang on. Right, go.
Jake, what type of kush are you smoking? What? That's a very random question. Oh, internships. This is useful. So, just to introduce this idea, then, internships, big preparation for getting jobs at the end of it. How do you decide which ones to do? Do you do them at all? When do you fit them in? And how do you apply, I guess? I did 2 internships. I did one in Japan and one in Google. And they were amazing experiences, just even if I didn't get any job out of the end of it. They were just amazing. Fortunately, they did also help me get a job at the end of my degree. I highly recommend applying for internships. Like, it's the best possible thing you can do.
I would say, however, I have done a 7-month internship. I've just completed one at QI, the TV show. And it started off, it was amazing. And oh my God, I literally just sent my CV and they were like, yeah, come in. But it started off unpaid. And do not do an unpaid internship if you cannot support yourself at the same time, because it is exploitative. I managed to get it paid later, but don't accept an unpaid internship just because it sounds cool if you can't afford one.
I would generally say don't accept them full stop, purely because it's them promoting the whole idea that employers can get free labor from us, and then it perpetuates the cycle, which I want to break. So if we make a stand together, we can stop this.
One more day till revolution. Right, so we'll nip that blitzkrieg in the bud, and I'll put another timer on. So we'll do that again in 10 minutes' time. Someone just very quickly asked how the chapel tour was in Germany. There are videos on my channel if you want to watch. I think it was really good fun. So yeah, that's that one. Does someone else want to pick a question to kick off discussion?
What pushes you to keep studying? For me personally, it was knowing that exams were coming up and knowing that I wanted to do well, and sort of just motivated by the fear of failure, largely. And also, like, half that and half just loving my subject. But I know it can be difficult when you just sat with lots of work to do and you're really sick of it, to find motivation. So how did everybody else like push themselves to keep working and keep going?
I don't like being beaten. So I knew that if I kept working, I'd do better. So, but partly that, but also partly, yeah, love of subject. And certainly now as a PhD, the reason I go in is because I want to find out more about how the world works, and especially when stuff's going right, and like you're not just programming all day, like you're actually getting computer results out that tell you something new that no one else has seen about the world. That's really cool. So like the love of science is kind of what keeps me going at the moment.
I would say that it would be finding something interesting that you like. There were definitely parts of my course which I just absolutely hated and I found them so boring, and so I had no motivation to study. So what I did is I found an area of it or an application or something that I found interesting, and then I'd be naturally motivated.
Ped?
I was the same on the kind of you just get into it. I think with programming, one of the reasons I liked it was you get something out of it, like you were saying with the physics results. Once you like sit and it finally starts to work and it just happens, I think there's nothing that beats that. And well, the only thing beating that is making something like a bridge or something, but I can't make bridges. So I think like the desire to just design and build things without being held back by your own hands, and that's why I like programming. And the programming gets you through the monotony of comp sci theory. So,
sorry, what was the question?
What keeps you going? What motivates you to do to work during uni?
Oh, right. PPE. Let me see. So basically, I view PPE as an investigation into what matters in the world and where we should bother spending our time. It's really cool to have all these skills to be able to process data or like build things using code, but how do you decide what things you're meant to build? That's what PPE is an exploration of. If you don't know what it is you're building, you're just building loads of meaningless things, potentially. And so I was trying to find meaning in where I would spend my time and then make stuff. And like PPE is amazing for that.
So there was a question that's been asked quite a lot, and I think it'd be interesting to get people not from Oxbridge to get their perspective on this, about whether extracurricular activities are important. Basically, in terms of applying to uni, if you need to be more than just good at your subjects, like do you need other things? I mean, Ped, what do you think?
I don't know for certain, obviously, because they never actually tell you, do they? I did quite a lot. Well, I say quite a lot. I had a job, and I did swimming and tennis and flute.
Sorry, how is tennis like swimming?
I don't know. They're the two
swimming
things.
Doesn't even involve a ball.
They've both got an S in.
So. One of them is on land.
So
I was flying. Oh wait, no, I was scuba diving.
Yeah. So I think it might have helped a little bit. I don't know. I generally don't know. I don't think I do a lot extracurricular. I especially didn't do now. No one cared when I was applying for my placement what I did outside of university. I don't think university really cared outside of what your grades were and how, like, I had an interview, so it was how quick you could think on your feet and that kind of thing, I guess. Just kind of personal education stuff, I'd say, is the biggest.
I mean, Flo, what do you think?
I think you should be doing them anyway, actually. Extracurricular things are amazing in themselves, and you get to make so many friends and you have new skills, and like you shouldn't be doing them just because it's going to get you into uni. I personally found I applied just for medicine first, and then I actually got biochemistry because it was like my fifth choice. It was like my just in case I don't get into medicine. And my entire personal statement was all about how I wanted to be a doctor, and yet I still got this place to do biochemistry, so I have a feeling like they didn't read my personal statement at all. So I don't think they cared about my extracurricular activities, they just cared about the fact that I got A's. So I would say do them in your own right, do them because you want to.
Jamie, do you want to answer for sort of Oxbridge generally, because it'll be quite similar for both Oxford and Cambridge?
What was the question?
Do you need to be more than just good at your subject? Like, how important are extracurricular and other activities to your application?
When you're applying? Right, when you're applying. Do you need to be more than just good at your subject? So, no, you don't really. So, how I sort of break it down in my head is that you need three main qualities. One is passion, the other one is competence, and the other one is persistence or dedication, and they're sort of broken down into like 45%, 45%, and then 10%. So if you've got passion for your subject and you've proven you've got the skill set to be able to really dive into that subject and be engaged with it, that's great. The remaining 10% is all, can you handle the workload? Like, have you proven that you can dedicate yourself to something, whether it's learning the violin or going to volunteer at the disabled home for 5 years every single year, something like that just indicates that you have those skill qualities.
Okay, that's good. I mean, basically, just the advice that we said earlier was, if in doubt, it probably doesn't count. So, yeah, Like basically, what the admissions tutors care about for Oxbridge is you have to be exceptionally good at your subject, and you have to demonstrate that you're passionate about it, and that's basically it. Like it's good to put on application forms, I think, for other universities more than for Oxbridge, so it's worth doing, and as Flo says, it's worth doing in their own right. But don't expect it to sway your application, you know.
Yeah, I'm actually releasing a personal statement course, like another one, in about 10 days. If you go
Is
to
that
my
on
website.
non-education?
It's on jamomills.com, which is now a thing.
Oh, wow.
So if you guys go to jamomills.com, you can sign up there and check it out. I'll post a link in the script in the comment.
I need to get a website now. I've got to keep up. Holy shit. Jake, do you want to pick a question? I haven't heard very much from you recently.
Oh, I'm sorry, I've lost the tab. Where's it gone? There it is.
You are the tab.
Right, question. Somebody give me a good question right now, please. Oh, I can't.
Pressure's on, mate.
Yeah.
I hate trying to pick one when I haven't got one already prepared.
Just pick something that Sally LePage said and treat it as a question. So, like, pick a college where you
Pretend to
want to
do the
live, work,
question
and
and just
play.
read her answer. Do you feel like your work ethic has improved because of uni? Yes. University forced my work ethic to improve. Otherwise, I would have just been like totally miserable and really behind on work all of the time. I really had to learn how to do it efficiently and how to do it productively and how not to hate my life while I was doing stuff, specifically when I was revising things and working on things that I didn't particularly enjoy. And just sort of learning just to do it anyway and find ways to enjoy it. And now I've come into the working world. I've only been in it for 5 days so far, but
from this intense experience.
But I found the intensity of Cambridge has made it easier to be able to like sit for a long time and work and not think, oh my god, this is dreadful. I am struggling to adapt to the hours, like working 9 till 6 every day. That's something different. Not being able to just take free time whenever I want.
Oh my god, is Jamie being attacked by something?
No, the apples are falling off the tree and one of them is hit.
Oh, I thought I was going to see you being mauled by like a cat or something on the live internet.
No, the animals in the garden are really nice. It's
Uh,
just the vegetation you have to worry about.
Does someone else want to chip in on that question about work ethic? I mean, Ped, you're currently at university. I mean, maybe you're the best.
Yeah, I'd say my work ethics improved as soon as I got a job. I think I basically continuously worked at university until like you'd go too far and then start weaning off. I think there's like a peak you can hit. Although I'd say, actually, as a discussion point, I'm just going to ignore the question and make a new one up. So, what would your guys' opinions be on whether it's, you know, do you ever get people where sometimes there's like a huge, some people will work constantly as like a continuous slog, and then some people will work a lot at the very end? I think there's like, what I've experienced recently is that people will say like, can you get away with just doing this? My experience would be that to get a certain grade, you need to put in a certain amount of time. Whether you do that time in like the end or like here is based completely on you and whether you're better at doing like an hour every day in the library compared to 3 days worth in a row at the very end. So what's your opinions on that instead of answering that question?
I don't think I'd have been able to get away with leaving stuff to the very last minute. Obviously, if you watch my vlogs, you'll see I do it with supervision work a lot. But just in general, like if I did that with everything, if I did that with revision, I couldn't have left revision until just the day before the exam, because to get the grades that I wanted and the grades I achieved, it wasn't like just a little bit of work spread out over a few months. It was a lot of work every day for 3 years.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
It's time to circumnavigate the Maginot Line. It is time for another Blitzkrieg.
I was going to say after this Blitzkrieg, I got to go.
Okay, we'll do one more Blitzkrieg and then we'll see how it stands. Because if there's a few of us that can continue, we might go for another.
Yeah, that sounds sensible.
Okay, right. So this potentially is the last Blitzkrieg. So people in the chat, if you want to spam your questions, there's a short lag, so we'll probably start seeing them about now. Someone pick a question.
I've got one. Somebody asked me about artificial intelligence modules in computer science, whether I did any. Yes, I did, and it was actually not as fun as you'd expect.
Yeah.
Sounds really cool, but it turns out it's just some more maths, just like every module. So unfortunately, it's not as cool as you might think. But I guess if you keep studying it and go further into the field, it would get really interesting. But when you start out, it's just maths. Maths is fun though.
Maths is fun. I can attest to that.
Someone asked for tips on bouncing back from bad grades, and I would say something that Simon said earlier, where you don't like to be beaten. You've just got those bad grades. Assess why you got them and how you can change your approach this next year moving forward, and don't let it beat you again. I got relatively bad grades in AS level, and I wasn't going to let that happen in A level. And because you kind of get into a creek of being like, I can just kind of do this, and I'm really good, so I don't need to do anything. And then you get knocked down a bit, and then you're like, whoa, hold on, and then you go back up to the top. So I think it's good to get bad grades every now and again to tell you that you're not as smart as you think you are.
I did a video on this actually. I think basically that you're entirely correct in saying that you've got to treat it as not as a reflection on you as a person, but as an opportunity to improve yourself as a person and like improve your ability at that subject. So I failed first year at uni. I then bounced back and got like 0.5% underneath the first in the exams. So I wasn't going to let myself beaten, and I used it as motivation to improve. So yeah, so Flo.
People are going to think I'm being paid to promote your videos for you. I'm getting pretty good at it.
Shut up, man! Shut up! I'll pay you after. Flo, do you want to pick one?
Yeah, I saw one which was what should you bring with you to student accommodation? And I would say there is one absolute thing that you should bring that people always forget, and that is a doorstop. Because you want to open up your door so that all your flatmates, all your blockmates, or whatever kind of accommodation, they always see you, and then they can come in and say hello. And it's so much easier making friends that way than if you're always shut up in your room and you're just like hiding away. So a doorstop. Bring a doorstop.
I'd like to add to that, a corkscrew is another amazing thing. A corkscrew with a bottle opener on. It's like you should always
be everyone's friend.
Yep, people will come to you. You'll be that guy. Somebody asked me. This was a less serious question, but I saw quite a couple of people asking this. They were asking where I was getting my Birdman poster from. That's from the campus cinema here in Exeter. So they have a cinema that shows films for like £2 for students. And they were getting rid of their old posters, so I got that from them. Same for the Gravity poster, actually.
Somebody keeps asking if being a YouTuber negatively affects your grades. YouTube, like in particular, doesn't negatively affect your grades. The examiners don't see, oh, this guy's on YouTube, let's mark him down. It's just the same as any other hobby. The more time you spend doing that hobby, the less time you're going to spend on work. So you just have to find the right balance.
But at the same time, it can be a positive influence on your grades because it gives you something else to concentrate on. So it's like downtime.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see that I certainly didn't spend so much time on YouTube that I failed my exams because I'm like 3 months behind with my vlogs. So you do have to find the balance and make sure that your hobbies, even though they're good and they're good for you and they can help you in loads of ways, that they're not taking up too much of your time.
Mills, do you want to pick one?
There seems to be a question that I keep getting asked, which is what is life like after Oxbridge? I'd say the biggest changes are your friends aren't as close. So like we're all dispersed over London or over England or all over the world.
I'm living with two of mine.
Harder to deal with because. Oh, okay. So it depends how things end up working out for you. Another big change is the amount that you're stimulated intellectually seems to have changed, or at least it's shifted. Like I'm no longer being academically stimulated. I'm more being stimulated from like, is this strategy going to make the company fair, or is it going to make us billions? And like trying to make those decisions instead. So I guess to compensate for that, I'm reading so many more books than I used to. But that's pretty much it. Like, and obviously I'm not in Oxford anymore, so geographical change.
Yeah, which is a good thing. I mean, I found that as well. Leaving Oxford and coming to Exeter was a really nice change of scenery. You don't realise, but I was a little bit bored of the city. I think after 4 years, even though it's an amazing place to live, I still really enjoyed coming down to Exeter and being somewhere completely new. And when Jamie came and visited, and you found it.
Yeah, with your hill. That hill, and there's so much open space. It's completely a different vibe.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. I've got to say, we need to do another road trip actually, because I need to either come and visit you, or possibly if people are watching, I haven't actually ever met Jake in real life.
Oh yeah.
I'm in London now, so I'm even easier to get to.
Yeah, we should probably do the three of us. If you think we should do a meetup, like me, Jake, and Jamie, then put that in the comments.
Jamie and the other Jamie.
Oh, another Jamie.
Hi.
Yeah, we can. Why not? You know,
Hi,
you're actually closer than I am.
Hey, on that note of Jamie confusion, I gotta go. So thanks for watching the live stream. Thanks for hosting, Simon, and thanks for being guests, Jake and Jamie.
No problem.
Anyone who's watching, check out jammomills.com if you would like personal statement help, because I'll be launching something secret soon.
What's that? I can hear water rushing. Was that a plug you just pulled out there, Jamie?
Me?
Sounds like you just pulled a plug on it.
Yeah. I think it was a plug. Probably. It's probably a shameless plug of some sort. Yeah, I might post that plug in the comment as well.
Sure.
See you guys.
Thanks
Bye.
for joining us, Jamie.
Cheers.
Bye, Jamie.
Right, okay, that leaves the three good bloggers, because Florence is apparently now left as well.
Where did Florence go?
Yeah, let's...
Disappeared a while ago.
R.I.P.
Probably
Flo.
might have broken.
She's inbound again.
She's inbound! She's back! Florence, you're back.
Oh, hello.
Sorry about that. I forgot that when you use computers, they need charging every so often.
Yeah, they do that. They have a habit of doing that, yeah. Right, so let's pick another... I'll start another Blitzkrieg timer. We might make this the last 10 minutes, we'll see.
Yeah.
So, a question that came up a lot was advice on sixth form and doing A-levels. Like, I guess let's just put this to everyone. What advice do you wish you could have given yourself when you started in year 12 that you now know now? So, Flo, do you want to start?
I would say don't worry so much. I did really well in A-levels, but I didn't get into any universities first time round, and I took a forced gap year, and it was probably the worst period of my life. It sucked so much. I was so depressed because suddenly all my friends were going off to university, and I wasn't. But I reapplied, and I went to an amazing university. I had so much fun. I got a great degree that I love, and I'm really happy. So even if it all goes to shit, I am living testament that actually, you know what, it's not so bad. It'll all turn out all right.
Yeah. Jake?
I don't think I've got anything to add to this.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Because for me, sixth form were like possibly still my favourite 2 years of my life so far. I really loved sixth form, and I didn't work. I didn't work so hard that I had no social life, because I had a lot of fun doing things with friends that I made at sixth form, and then I also got the grades that I needed to get into the university I wanted to go to. So I'm sorry, I don't have anything that I would have liked to know before I started, and it was a long time ago. It's hard to remember now. I just remember all the good things now. I've like blocked out the worst memories about A-levels.
I mean, I think what I'd add is basically, I mean, I didn't need to be told this at the time because I was a teacher's pet, but I think the important thing to be told is to work hard. It's 2 years that,
Yeah.
I mean, you've got 2 years to work on a qualification that will potentially shape the next 3 or 4 years of your life and your career trajectory. It doesn't have to, as Flo says, things can turn out completely differently, and that's absolutely fine. But you have this opportunity to really work on a qualification that will impact your life in some way. And you've got so many resources at your disposal. You are in an environment. You're very privileged to study to that level in the first place. So make the most of that privilege and really work at it and try hard. Because I can't stand people that don't try in life. I just you live once. Why waste your time just faffing around and not actually trying to do what you want to do in life? Follow what makes you happy and work hard at that.
Hear, hear.
Oh, okay. Should we pick another question?
Going down.
In a fight, who you would win?
I would definitely survive the best because I've got the medical knowledge. You guys would just bleed out, and I would be okay.
Well, I feel uncomfortable hitting a girl, for one thing. Like, I just...
Why?
Well, your girls are squishy, and, they're...
I can say the same thing about you.
I'm definitely squishy in certain parts. I can try and lose those squishy bits, as a matter of fact. No, I'd hit a girl. Just hit why not? That's the alternative.
You can hit me, Simon. I won't mind.
Either I'm a misogynist, or I have to say on the internet, I will hit women. So I'm an equal opportunities hitting machine. If any of you come at me, I will hit you. Yeah, fine. I don't have any qualms. I will knock Flo the shit out.
Or maybe don't hit anyone. Maybe that's a better solution.
Yeah, that is probably the better solution.
Yes, and on that note, let's
Okay.
move on to a good question I've just seen. Would you recommend retaking your A-levels, like A2, or doing a foundation year at university, possibly a university which is not your first choice that you wanted to go to? Or even if it was, retake A2s or do a foundation year? I've thought about this before when people have asked me, and I always conclude that if it's the university you want to go to, then take the foundation year, because then you're sort of on the path to get where you want to be. Whereas retaking A2s, you're not really. It's undecided whether you're going to get into the university you want to. If it's retake A2s or do a foundation year at a lesser university or one that wasn't your first choice, then it's more difficult. And I'm not sure I have the perfect answer for that one.
It's
But
a
I think
tough
if it was
question.
me personally, I would still probably just like do the foundation year and keep moving forward with my life instead of repeating something. Because then more opportunities that you weren't aware of might open themselves up later on.
You might find out you don't like it, and you might want to pick a different one. Might act like a summer school in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially.
Yeah, that's a really tough question, actually. I think I'd agree with you, Jake, actually. I think at least it feels like you're carrying your momentum forwards, and university gives you a whole bunch of extra experiences that aren't academic, that sixth form won't give you by repeating it. So yeah, Fly, what do you think?
I also
I
think,
think
sorry. I also think if you retook A2s, you would be in a minority, and if you move forward and do a foundation year, there'll be lots of other people in that same position, and that's probably beneficial to you to be around lots of other people in the same situation.
I vaguely recall from when I applied many years ago that there are certain universities that won't accept A-levels if they've taken more than 2 years to complete, so maybe that's something to look into as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly something to consider.
What the hell was that? Did you hear that?
Yes.
I think somebody just dumped a truck full of cutlery outside. What even was that? Okay. Let's see. Someone asked. That is an interesting question. Someone's asked, why are Russell University groups better?
I don't go to
They
one.
aren't necessarily, though.
Yeah.
I think it's a useless term these days.
Yeah.
I think every university has its reputation, and obviously some are going to look better than others. Like Oxbridge is going to look better than. I don't want to name any now. You know what I mean. But I don't think the
Cambridge
term
behaviour.
Russell Group itself really means much today. Certainly not to me and not to anybody I've spoken to.
It really depends on what course you're doing, I think, because if you're doing like chemistry, it's really amazing if you go to Oxford, but if you're doing like film and media studies or something, then it would be much better. Like a friend of mine is about to go to City University to do journalism, which itself is not the best university, but for journalism is amazing. So it depends.
I mean, also, like, yeah, I think the gap between Oxbridge and the rest of the Russell Group and other universities has been narrowing as the years have gone on, because universities, and Exeter's included in this. I know it's in the Russell Group, but as an example, they've been putting a huge amount of money of investment in. They've been treating universities in this country more as businesses, I think, which improves the point of contact to you as the consumer, if you like, as the student. So I think it's become less of an important term these days. And as I just learned from the Wikipedia page, you know why it's called the Russell Group?
Why?
Named after a hotel.
Oh.
Hotels.
So yeah, it's named after a hotel where a bunch of people had a meeting. So that's a stupid reason to call a group anything. So ignore it.
Do Russell Group universities have like the same kind of university structure? Does it work a bit like EdXL or whatever it is, the OCR and stuff? Is it like, do they all kind of mark the exact? Is there like a standardization? Whereas I know Bath isn't a Russell Group, so it's quite different to everyone else I've spoken to who is in a Russell Group.
No,
I'm not aware of Russell Group doing no coordination or anything.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't mean anything at all.
Yeah.
It's just.
I think it's like the English equivalent of an Ivy League, no?
Well, basically, it's a term for just those at the top of the pile that were historically for classical subjects like maths, physics, English, history, that like what are considered core subjects historically, the ones that have done the best at that. So, there's no. Like, some of the institutions are centuries old. Like Oxford's nearly 1,000 years old. Imagine trying to get that to standardise to anything that was not Oxford. because we're up ourselves. Like, as an institution, we don't like change, let alone from the outside. So yeah, good luck. Anyone else? Can anyone else see a good question?
How did you guys get started with YouTube? How did you get something?
I pressed record on my camera.
Disappeared. Yeah. Just do it.
Just just do it.
Just do it.
I was already editing like family videos before YouTube was a thing, and so I already liked making films and making videos and editing video. And then YouTube came along, and I was like, oh wow, now I can get other people to watch these videos. And I just started out making really, really bad, embarrassing videos about how to do various different things in Windows XP. Then I did a lot of unboxings for about 5 years. And then eventually I realized I could film things at Cambridge, and people actually enjoyed that, unlike the 5 years of stuff I did previously.
I actually started YouTube while I was at university because I wanted to get a career in science communication, but there were like no opportunities going, so I said I'll make an opportunity myself, and I started making videos.
Sally LePage did the same thing, didn't she?
Yeah, I think so. Sally, did you?
Sally, in the comments, we can see you. I mean, because we talked about this a little bit earlier. I mean, I started because it was a social justice issue for me. I came from a background that people didn't go to Oxbridge from, and I thought I had a really valuable experience that other people could learn from, so I started making those videos, and then I sort of had a theory about doing vlogging as an access tool, and so I did the Oxford project, and then from there it kind of all got a bit out of control, and I started doing other YouTubery things, really. Although I don't know if it was the same for you, but I was always interested in visual media. I was always interested in film and how stuff was made. So, it's not something that just appeared spontaneously at uni. It was kind of an actualization of a long-term, thought process, if you like.
Can I just say that I'm going to have nightmares about them beeps, of just the beeps go and I scroll and look for a question. That's possible.
Right. Sally wasn't paying attention. That's good. Did anyone else hear that as well?
Yes.
It's pouring liquid something. I don't know what.
There's a thunderstorm at the moment here in Manchester, so I can't do anything.
Okay. Let's see. What have we got?
Okay, I've got one. What is your opinion on university fees? I think they're ridiculously high, but it's not something that you have to worry about because it's not money you'll ever see or money you'll ever have to deal with, and it's the best loan that you'll ever get, a tuition fee loan. You don't have to pay it back if you can't pay it back, and it's literally just like another tax. And it's a relatively small tax as well. It'll not affect your life.
I mean, I think that there's... I mean, again, it's a social justice thing. I personally think that we should move back maybe to an older system where fewer people go to university, where we make the system more meritocratic and we abolish fees. It depends on how you structure the university system. Yes. As the way it currently stands, it's inevitable. But the fact that I'm very glad that I personally don't have to pay £9,000. I paid $3,000 for my. I mean, Ped, I guess you have to pay.
And Jake, I think.
The full whack.
Yeah, I'm paying 9, and it just sounds awful. It's kind of a bit depressing to think about how much debt that I have right now, but it really doesn't cause me any problems.
No, I'm currently working and earning, and I've actually started paying back my student loan already, but I pay like £20 a month or something. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. It's never going to affect your life. It's designed in such a way to not affect your income.
Yeah. And if after a certain period of time you haven't reached the threshold, you don't pay it back at all. Yes. I don't know if that's the thing.
Yeah, 40 years and it's written off.
Yeah. So if you stay poor for a long time, you don't have to worry about it. Which as students I'm kind of used to by now. Let's see. Okay, opinion. I'll take this one. Opinion on student maintenance grants being scrapped. I personally, again, social justice thing, think it's terrible. I'm not a fan of pretty much anything that went into the last budget, especially to do with higher education. Even though people are saying that the system is more generous now because people have access to higher loans, they're still not grants, and that has a powerful psychological effect on people who are applying from less privileged backgrounds. Because people from more privileged backgrounds don't think it's a problem because they think, oh, it's a loan. You're going to you pay it back in the end. It's absolutely fine. You still get to go. But I think it has a very powerful negative effect on people lower down the income scale, and it's going to reduce social mobility by doing that, as in people who are from the lowest incomes are less likely to go to university now. I think it's important to stress that it's a loan. You do still get the money. I think it is still worth applying, even though you're not going to get a grant, you're going to have a loan, because you're going to earn more from going to university than if you hadn't. I'm not a fan of what they've done personally. I don't know if you guys want to add anything.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, but I think it's important to stress to somebody right now, if this is an issue when they're applying, I think even though it's bad overall, and I don't agree with what they're doing with scrapping the grants, I don't think, like, if I was going to, if somebody was asking me right now, should I let this put me off university? Absolutely not. You'll still get the money. You'll still be able to have the same experience as everybody else. Just you end up with a bit more debt, but you're going to have like £40,000 of debt anyway. So just don't worry about it too much if you're in this situation.
And if anything, you get more money as well. I think I under the new scheme, I would get a lot more money to go into. Yes, it's all loan, but I'd get a lot more money out of, and it'd be a lot easier to. I wouldn't have had to, if this new system would have worked, I wouldn't have had to have a job first year or second year. So there's that spin on it as well.
Flo, do you want to pick a question?
Yeah. Oh, someone asked me specifically what I did on my gap year. Just as a really quick thing, I worked for 8 months as a healthcare assistant in a hospital on an orthopedic surgery ward, and then I went travelling for 3 months. And previously, I was the kind of person who said, I'm never going to take a gap year because I won't be able to get back into studying, but it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me. If you're considering taking a gap year, take it. It's amazing.
Good. Ped, have you picked one? I can't remember.
Someone jokingly asked, what's the best university? And my answer to that would be the one that you're at.
Yeah, University of Exeter.
Exactly. Whichever one you go to, you will defend that to the hilt. And I'll defend it against all of your universities. You'll defend yours against all of ours. And whatever you go to, you will go. It's like when people say, like, what's the best accommodation? You'll go, you'll get to know the accommodation or the university as a whole, and you'll fall in love with it and just like it from there.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
The reason most people drop out is because they don't like their course rather than they don't like the actual university itself.
Yeah.
Pick the course first, institution after.
Yeah, exactly.
Bang.
I mean, I also as a point, like, I went from obviously thinking that Oxford was the best university because I was there, and now coming to Exeter, it's actually interesting to see how similar universities are across the board, having visited other ones, but also there are slight differences. Because now I will passionately defend Exeter, but in a way I will also passionately defend Oxford still. Because I actually felt like Exeter is like, it's almost like student paradise that was like a secret. Like I visited here and I was like, how did I not know about this before? This place is amazing. So, you know, someone said that London Met is the best uni 2012. That's
only in 2012. No other year.
What have we got? Right. So what I'll do is I'll put a timer on for another 10 minutes. We'll keep going for another 10 minutes, and then we'll see how we feel after that, shall we?
Okay.
I like that idea. Plan, that man.
Great. Okay, someone pick a question, please.
Scroll too far. What do
I'm
you
not
guys...
a traitor, Sally. I just saw that in the comments, Sally. I'm not a traitor for saying that about Oxford. I still think it's amazing.
Oh, here's a question. Why did you pick your course and do you regret it now? So whilst it was university, everyone went through this thing that was like a half-course crisis where about halfway through second year, everyone would be like, holy shit, I think I picked the wrong course, but it's too late now. What am I supposed to do? And so I think everyone goes through periods of self-doubt, but as long as you love it, you'll get through that and it will be fine.
So this will be interesting, actually. The two Komskis here. Why did you choose Komski? I'd be interested to see if you have different reasons.
Do you want to go first?
Why did I choose Komski? So I was just always with computers more interested with how they worked and what I could make them do, rather than just playing games on them or whatever other people would do. And I like to make websites from quite an early age, and I started learning how to program. I learned C#. That was the first thing I learned when I was in year 8. So how old was that? Like 14 or something. and I just decided then this is the kind of thing I want to do, and I guess it kind of just stuck. I just sort of told myself I want to do computer science, and I never reconsidered later on. I'd embedded that in my head from such an early age. By the time it got to the point where I had to make the decision about what I was going to apply for, it just seemed like, obviously, computer science, what else?
Yeah. I chose computer science because I like making things. I actually chose, well, no, I wanted to do law for a long time until I realized how boring it was. But no, I wanted to do music composition, but I don't like playing music, and I don't like, well, I like listening to music, but I don't like performing or playing music in any way, shape, or form. But if I had my dream job, it would be composing music, and the closest thing I found to composing music was programming, and I just fell in love with the programming world instead. So I just kind of jumped my thing across.
What I do want to add though is I sort of decided I wanted to do computer science because I liked programming and designing and creating things and that side of it, and then found out halfway through, once I started my degree, that it was a very theoretical course full of maths, and it's not really what I enjoyed years before that. So you do have to bear that in mind, that computer science is, depending on which university you go to, it can be a very theoretical subject and not just software engineering.
It's worth researching the course for, any subject that you're applying for. It's always worth looking at the course rather than just blindly going for an institution. I think it's worth saying, because I did that with physics for sure.
Yeah, I didn't research the course at Cambridge much. I was like, yeah, it came because I think even now I would probably do the same thing. Like, even if I did research it and found that Cambridge was really theoretical and possibly not exactly what I wanted to do, it was still Cambridge, and I'm kind of glad I didn't research it more, so I never had any doubt when I was applying, because it did turn out okay and I did enjoy it.
I mean, to answer the question about why I chose physics, I chose it, I guess, for two reasons. One, I was always the kind of kid that loved learning how things worked. So I used to take apart things like old record players and make things out of connects and see how things fitted together and how they worked. So it's quite an engineering thing, I guess. But also, like, more fundamentally, like asking questions like, why do magnets repel each other at the same end, and why do they attract opposite ends? Like, quite, wanting to learn answers to fundamental questions like that. But the main reason I chose physics as a subject at uni was because at GCSE, science divides in this country into physics, chemistry, and biology. And basically, I realised that all the stuff that was cool in science, I thought, was in physics. I'm sure Flo will disagree with that. But, to me, everything that I thought was cool about science, like all the planet stuff and like mechanics and radioactivity and rockets, that was all in physics, man. Of course, I was going to pick that. So, that made the decision for me, basically.
I just wanted to learn how to poison people, really.
Whoa, it's a bold claim. Right, does someone else want to pick a question over that almighty racket?
I literally can't hear what you're hearing. It is totally peaceful and quiet on my end.
I think it's actually from your end. It's like the best way I can describe it. It sounds like a pickup truck is emptying cutlery onto the road outside the window. That's the best way I can think to describe it.
But it's quiet here. I don't understand.
Maybe it's inside your lap. Maybe there's a little civilization of small people living inside your computer, and in there is a tiny dump truck that is emptying tinier cutlery onto like the
If I ever had a tiny, tiny little world, they'd be very civilized, and they certainly would have had at least 3 forks at their dinner.
It would be that like that episode of the Simpsons where like Lisa's tooth gets civilization in it.
Oh yeah.
It was on the Tree Houses of Horror. Yeah, that one.
Or the Bender one in Futurama, where he has that, and he's God.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Someone else want to pick a question?
Did anyone do the UKMT Maths Challenge? Someone asked.
I did the senior Maths Challenge. Yeah, I didn't do the higher levels. Because there's like the Maths Challenge, the Olympiad, and the Grey Kangaroo. Or it might be the other way around, because I got a gold in the senior maths challenge, which was just after I applied to Oxford, because I used loads of past papers as practice for the PAT, which is definitely what you should do. But I didn't. I've got a friend who did higher levels, and he went on to do NatSci at Cambridge, so I think that probably helped his application somewhat. But I didn't do higher than that.
Opinions for being more organised when revising for A-levels. I would say make a timetable with lots of breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. About like 40 minutes I felt worked for me, and then I take a 10-minute break, and then 40 minutes and 10 minutes, 40 minutes, 10 minutes.
Keep a revision diary, like we said earlier. That's the main thing that I'd recommend. Keep a revision diary and revisit material on a scale of increasing repetition. So like the day after, the week after, a month after, and it keeps. There's a technical name for it, but it keeps the information on your head the most efficiently.
With A-levels, I found that my best revision strategy was to do past papers, and keeping track of every past paper that I'd done was definitely a good idea, so I wasn't just grabbing ones at random.
Yeah.
I kept a table of every past paper in each subject from like 1990 whatever up until the year before, and a column for each time I attempted that and what score I got.
I found what really worked for me was explaining things to people, so I learned things much better by talking through them rather than reading or writing. So I would find an unsuspecting art student and explain to them something really scientific, and if they understood it, then I'd be like, yeah, that means I've understood it.
Yeah, it's called rubber ducking, that, by the way. If you wanted to know a technical name for it.
Rubber ducking sounds like it should be something. That sounds like it's an innuendo. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know what you do with your rubber ducks.
Right, there's one question that's appeared a lot from a lot of people, which is asking about the EPQ. Did anyone else? I did it. Did anyone else do an extended project?
No, I didn't do one. I didn't have any friends who did one.
Anyone else?
No.
I don't even have any friends from Cambridge that did one, as far as I know.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, because I mean, I did one. I did my extended project on missions to Mars. It's actually on the internet. If you can try and find that, don't, because it's awful. But it definitely helped me. I think it was valuable to talk about in the interview, and it gave me a lot of skills in terms of like independent study that I don't think I got from my other A-levels. If you can, I really recommend it. If nothing else, it's just something really good to do, talk about in your interview. And it's just a chance to research something you're really interested in, which is always fun, to be honest. So, yeah, do it. Let's see.
What do you guys want to achieve at the end of your career?
Retirement.
This real dream.
My definition.
I don't quite know yet.
Far ahead. This is a long time away.
Well, I mean, it depends whether I stay in academia or not, because there's a chance that I'll stay in academia and become a professor, in which case, like, the end goal would be to become a professor and write a textbook, I guess. But at the moment, I'm more thinking about filmmaking, and so I guess, like, the way I'd like to see myself at the end of my career would be somebody who has done several successful projects, like directed successful films, achieved mainstream success, but also like respect within my field. So not just doing something that's popular, but doing something that's actually recognised as being good. So you know, I'm not really interested in earning lots of money, although obviously that would be nice. I'm more interested in being very good at what I do, I guess.
Somebody is desperate for an answer to how much time. Where's it gone? How much time do you spend working every day after lectures, I guess they're asking. This would vary day to day. I was never really structured with how much I'd work each day and what I'd do. But generally during my degree, it was just as much as I could. Like, I'd get back from lectures maybe 1 o'clock, I'd have lunch, and then I'd work until dinner, then I'd have dinner, then I'd work until bed if I had no other plans for that day. And then other days I would have plans. I'd be going out. I'd be doing something more fun, more interesting. So then those days I just take a few hours out of the revision time to do that instead.
I've always got a problem with working in the sense that I'm a bit of a workaholic, and I will always find work to do. You know, even if it's not actually any work to do. So my problem was I do work in the library until like 9 or 6, and then go back to my room or stay in the library until like 10, just doing academic work, which isn't a very healthy thing to do. It's important to get a work-life balance, and that doesn't mean doing as much work as you possibly can. That means actually finding a balance and being happy in yourself as well as doing enough work. Right, it's time. One more time to raise the Schutzstaffel and do a blitzkrieg. So. Let's pick questions each, everybody.
Scroll. And
okay, I'll start off. Arnad has asked, did you have group study sessions with your friends, and were they
I
effective?
pick that one.
Got there first. No, I spent about 98% of my degree on my own. Actually, like the entire time that I was at Oxford, I spent the vast majority of it by myself. I wish I hadn't. I really, really wish that I actually found a study group and I would have had community-esque shenanigans, because it would have been much more fun and it would have been much easier, because you can do things like splitting a problem sheet in half, and one person does half the problem sheet and then teaches the other person how to do their half the problem sheet. And it's a very effective way of learning, because you only really understand something when you can teach somebody else. So I wish I'd done it, but I didn't. I don't know. What did anyone else do? Anyone else do study groups?
I really didn't like study groups at all. I
really?
did them because my friends, they wanted to study and everything, but we just ended up gossiping and chatting the whole time, and we never got anything done. So I worked much better on my own.
I always found that I wanted to work on my own, because I felt like I'd achieved more if I'd figured something out by myself, which was a stupid attitude, because when I did work with other people, I learned more. I did do it sometimes. It was effective. I found it useful. I just had this stupid personal mindset that I didn't want help from my friends, because I wanted to be able to achieve it on my own.
Yeah, exactly that.
But I wouldn't recommend doing that. For me, it would have helped if I'd worked with other people more, because they can teach you things that you're not going to figure out quickly by yourself. You can be so much more effective if somebody just teaches you something. It tells you something that you don't know.
There's a reason why humans as a species clump together, right? There's a reason why people clump together to form communities, because you can get tasks done much more efficiently that way. People who are nomadic live way less than people who are in towns and cities. Humans were, in a way, best designed to work together. So I personally think, within reason, you should roll with that and try and work with other people.
What's the best life lesson you've learned from university? From Neil, I would say mine was two things. You've got to learn to let go of some things. Like sometimes you can start to finesse over. There was one time I was doing a coursework and I had about 60% of the marks nailed down. I then did 2 all-nighters and handed it in and got 30%. And I just broke it over those 2 weeks. And the second thing you learn is version control, so you can go back when you break it all.
Actually, that's probably a good one for everyone to answer. Jake, what was your life lesson from uni?
I saw this question about 45 minutes ago, and I've been trying to think of an answer ever since. And I'm not sure. I don't have one main thing that I learned. I learned so many things from university, both academic and just personal things about how to approach life better and be a better person. I don't have any one particular thing that stands above everything else. I've learned mostly how to organize my work and how to get things done, and how not to be too overwhelmed by having too much work to do and not enough time to do it. How to deal with that situation. How to sit down and think, right, I've got 6 hours and I've got 3 days worth of work, and not just hide in a corner and cry, and be able to deal with those stressful situations.
Flo, what do you think?
I would say the best life lesson was gaining the confidence to try something new. When I was at university, there was all these societies and all these new people and everything, and I did things I never thought I could. I did slam poetry and all sorts of really random things that you'd never get an opportunity to in sixth form or in real life once you've graduated. So yeah, confidence to do new things.
I think I'm going to do the same thing as Jamie. I think there's 2 things that I learned. The first is it's much more important to study or work smart than it is to study or work hard, because you can put so much effort into something inefficiently and you're just not going to get anything done. You've got to actually analyze how you're working and what works best for you. Don't just blindly put loads of effort in. You've got to sit and think about what you're doing. Obviously, it's important to work hard, but I think it's more important to work smart. That's really what I learned. And the second thing I learned is not to do 10 shots of Sambuca in a row, because it will end badly. Right, I think. Well, that's the end of the template. What do you guys want to do? Should we call it there? Do you think?
I think so. For me,
maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We've had about 200 people watching us. It's been absolutely delightful answering your questions. I've really enjoyed this. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, that was
Definitely.
I think if this gets a good response and you guys spam it in the comments, we will try and do this more regularly, because not necessarily with all of us, maybe just with 2 of us, but these are really fun to do, and when my internet is working, like it is currently, they're actually quite easy to do. So,
if you've got any more questions, you should totally tweet us or something.
Yeah. Well, should we go through? What are you on Twitter, Flo?
I'm at Flo Schechter. If you need the spelling, it's in the description.
Jake?
Jake Wright UK.
I'm just at Jamie Ped.
And I'm at Simon Oxfizz. So yeah, absolutely tweet at us, and feel free to. So the other thing to point out is that on our channels, respectively, we have loads and loads of content that deals with the questions that we've been talking about tonight. So on my channel, which is Simon Oxfizz on YouTube, there's loads and loads of study stuff. There's loads of stuff about doing a PhD and working at Oxford. Jamie, briefly, like what's your channel all about?
I've got the Jamie Ped channel does more about like every now and again it'll do Q&As about university and some other targeted university content, but otherwise Jamie Ped Vlogs is daily vlogs about going through the university experience. A lot of people say they've watched every one, but and yeah, it's kind of good for you can pick out odd days and go, oh, what happened there? Just scroll for good titles.
Yeah. And Jake?
Similar to Jamie, I guess, but I sort of do daily vlogs and map them to a weekly schedule and then get about 6 months behind.
Well, but now that you've left Cambridge, what's your plan for your channel?
Yeah.
So I've still got more Cambridge content to upload, and I've been vlogging my London life so far. And so, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm working as a software developer at Graze, the snack box company. And I'm on the web team, and I'm doing some really cool stuff there, or I will be once I've worked there more than a few days. And maybe I'll have videos more involved with stuff at Graze and what I'm doing there. I need to find out first what I'm allowed to share with the internet. But hopefully we'll get some interesting stuff from Graze, and I'll continue with the videos related to university to help people out who are applying, who are currently at university, and just generally going through education.
Awesome.
Plus, I've got random other vlogs from just when I travel and fun things like that.
Yeah. So Flo's actually disappeared, but she's Flo Schechter, I believe, on YouTube. And if you go on her Twitter, there's links to her YouTube and Instagram, so you can check out all the stuff that she does there if she's not here to promote it herself. Thanks.
Somebody does throw our Snapchat usernames.
I don't actually have
Will this work?
I'm not cool enough for Snapchat.
Scan my Snapchat thing, everybody, right now. You can. That's like a QR code, and it'll add me.
Oh wow!
Can I click myself and make it big? I don't know if that will work through the stream. If not,
I don't know if I can zoom. Can I zoom on you? No, I don't think I can. But that's Jake Wright on Snapchat. Everyone, go and send
my
him
username's the same as Twitter. I'm easy to find. I occasionally post Snapchat stories.
Okay, well, so subscribe to everybody here if you're not already subscribed, because let's face it, we're all pretty amazing and we make really good videos. And thank you so much, everybody, for coming and watching. We really hope that you enjoyed this and we answered at least some of your questions. If you want us to do this more in the future, harangue us on Twitter and on our comment sections. So yes, thank you very much for watching, and have a good rest of the evening, everybody. Right, bye.
Bye. Bye. Everyone wave.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Everyone wave. Everybody wave. It's the wave and goodbye. Bye.
Bye.